I sacrifice for my daughter. And everybody say, you sacrifice so much. But now I feel like that's not the good parenting. Good parenting really let her be. Let her be and respect who she is.
You're listening to Parenting with Impact, the podcast for parents like you, raising complex kids to become capable, independent adults, even in this complicated world. Each episode brings expert insights and real-life strategies to help you parent with confidence, calm, and clarity. Here are your hosts, Elaine and Diane.
Welcome back, everybody, to another conversation in the Parenting with Impact podcast. Today, we get a success story. One of our favorite things that Diane and I get to do is to meet with a member of our community and talk about how things have improved since you found Impact. It makes us feel great, makes you feel great. It's great for your family. So we're thrilled to have you, Marina. I'm so glad you're here. And
Me too.
And thank you for agreeing to do this, because a lot of parents feel like, well, I have to be the perfect parent if I'm going to talk about the success of it. And what we all know is that success happens in moments and glimmers, and we have to celebrate and give ourselves credit for what we are doing and let the success comes from there. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So you want to start off by telling people, so what programs have you done with us? When you found Impact Parents, what's been your journey with us?
So I was attending some of the webinar where you talk about sanity school. So I sign up right away. I think you have special discount that time. So I sign up right away. And I start to go through sanity school on my own. And I found it very, very useful. So then I bought a book, your book. And I listened to this book probably twice. I do use Audible. So as a matter of fact, I listened once when I visit my daughter, in the way in and the way out, which was great. And then I found out, I didn't know from beginning, then you have this short sessions, small groups. So then I found the groups. But also at the same times, I feel my relationship with my daughter was very tumultuous. And I felt that I had a therapist who was very good, but it was very therapy sessions, and I really need coaching. So I asked Diane if she can be my coach, and she was. So I spent lovely 6 months. Sometimes was difficult and sometimes was great. And it's certain situation, even when we have, my daughter doesn't have a father, but her father figure was dying. And it was very difficult. And I was able to call Diane on the phone on the weekend, and she was really very supportive of that. So it was not just like coaching, but also ad hoc situation. So, and after 6 months, I felt like I really don't need this one-on-one session, but I continue to go to group session, which I found it very, very useful. I think the best part about the group, you see other parents suffer the way you suffer. Other parents have same issue, you have issues, and then they have solutions. It's not like black hole. You have to put your head in the oven and say, don't know what to do. That's how I feel before. So that's sort of really give me a lot of hope.
I love that.
Just a piece of background, Marina, because you made a comment about going to visit your daughter and listening to Sanity School. You're going to visit your daughter. Just a point of background, because I know our audience has parents of kids with all ages. So you have a young adult daughter who's living away from home most of the year, but also at home part of the time, which is part of your dilemma. Is when you're together, it's a whole different dynamic than when you're long distance. But what are some of the key challenges that you're facing with your daughter at the stage she's at right now?
I think, and you explained it so wisely, I still very much feel like a director mode. Basically, I feel it's my job to tell her what to do. And if I don't tell her what to do, she will be lost. And sometimes she does need directions and some stuff. But I think because our relationship has been like that for so long, she sort of expects this in me too.
Yeah.
So even when I start to change and use the tool from Impact Parents, I found it like she doesn't trust me because she felt when I started to have a conversation, I said, so what do you think? Well, she asked me a question. I used some of the tools from Sanity School. What do you think? How would you deal with that? She was very suspicious. And she will say, if I knew, I'll not ask you. Why are you telling me this to me? But I feel like she was suspicious because she thought I will try to convert her to do what I want her to do. And I
Right.
think that was the biggest thing for me, to basically let her be. And I think you write this in the book, like how you feel like you have to tell them your children what to do when they're watching TV and you just tell them to do something. And I feel very relate to that. Like I feel like I'm sitting in my living room and she's in the office playing her computer game. And in my head, what should I do? What should I do? I don't have to do anything. I can just have my life and she can live her life. But I have this feeling need. And I think through Impact Parents, I'm sort of calm now. I don't
Mm.
have to do stuff. I feel like, okay, let's her learn, let's her figure out. And so that's really helped me a lot. And I think the combination, when you ask what helped me, I can't say one or another, but I think the combination of individual coaching, because I really needed it at that time. And I think also individual coaching gave me belief in myself.
Mm. Yeah.
I think Diana showed to me that I can do it because I was really desperate. Because even when my daughter away, I feel I still have to manage her life.
The word desperate, I think is probably, Diana and I have talked about it, is the word that the parents come to us with all the time, is that feeling of desperate. And
Yeah.
what strikes me, and as you were telling your story, is you said, the relationship was tumultuous. You were working with a therapist who was good, but you knew you needed coaching. What did you think you needed that you weren't getting?
Well, I think the therapy can be very useful, but therapy is sort of listen therapy, right? And therapists can give you advice, but it's mostly you have to come to decisions. If you don't go psychotherapy, but really behavior therapy. I think in the coaching situation, question can be much more forward, right? I'll give you example. I mean, this didn't happen maybe in coaching, but yeah, just give you example. Like I will say, okay, Elena did, my daughter's name is Elena. Elena did X, Y, Z, and I corrected her, and I think she learned the lesson. That's like all parenting kind of work. So Diane will probably question before said, yes, good, she learned the lesson, but do you think that's the best approach? Right? So then they start to understand what is the best approach. So I think during the coaching, you have much more critical approach. Probably you can use constructive criticism to understand if that's proper word. I don't know, Diana, if this is the right word to use it, but I think
I think what's coming up for me as you're saying that that we did a lot of was just coming in with curiosity and going, okay, so how did that work, and what did you learn when you tried that, and kind of exploring things as experiments. And so the thing you did yesterday, as an example, was an experiment. And so what did we learn from what you've tried, and do you want to try the same experiment again, or do you want to shift it and move it forward in a different way?
but one thing I found it is challenging that I can see scientifically and intellectually that nagging my daughter and remind her what to do does not work. I even learned this through one of her class, and she was taking neurodiversion seminar, and they were talking about how scientifically people with ADHD do not respond nagging. The brain does not work this way. So I have, Impact Parent telling me, Diane told me that, scientists told me that, but it still was very, very hard for me to give it up. And the only thing when I start to see, then it really doesn't work. When I start to see the result doesn't work, I have the scientific aha. Just don't waste your time.
Well, and I think that so the other thing I would add, Marina, that I observed in our work together was that it wasn't just about noticing that it didn't work, because everybody told you it didn't work and you got that it didn't work. But what you went through was this process of, I don't know what else to do besides
How do I change it?
nag. And so it's even though people are telling me not to nag, if I don't understand what's underneath it for me and why I continue to nag, even when I know that it's not the thing to do, then it's really hard to change the behavior. We've got to kind of get underneath it and go, what's going on for me? I want to feel like I'm doing something and I don't know what else to do, so I nag.
Yeah, exactly. And I found it doing nothing was much more effective.
Much more. What?
Effective to get to the goal.
And what was the goal?
Well, whatever goal. Like, I think the biggest problem, get over Elaine over the phone. Get off you from computer. Or if we have appointment to go somewhere. And so what I start to do, I start to get involved in work she's doing. I notice if I can, and that's again, I learned from Impact Parents, right? To get curious what she's doing. She playing this game. She love it. She love to talk about that. So instead of saying, come on, Lelena, get off the game. You will have to go this appointment. 20 minutes earlier, come and I just ask her, explain me about this character. And it's really important not to be patronizing, because she smelled patronizing in the distance. So if you're not interested, she knew right away. So I really got curious in a way, like what character beautiful and they interesting design and kind of intrigue. And that's always sort of motivate her. Told me for 20 minutes and then she can stop doing this, doing what she was doing and move to something else.
But what strikes me is that you leaned into the relationship, that you connected with her about something interesting to her instead of standing there saying, I want you to do something else.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I'm saying this does not happen 100%.
No.
We get that.
Right. So let's take a quick break and then we'll come and continue the conversation.
Do you recognize current ADHD interventions fall short? At Dig Coaching, we have developed a new field of engineering and a new ADHD intervention called cognitive ergonomics from the inside out. To learn more, visit cognitive-ergonomics.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Elaine and Diane here. Our guest is a member of our community, Marina, and we're talking about the ways that she began to apply the coach approach in her relationship with her daughter to get the kind of results she wanted. And we were just talking about not nagging and what it took for Marina and what she needed to learn about and for herself to give herself, really, it sounds like almost to give yourself permission to not nag.
Yeah.
But to connect with your daughter instead.
Yeah. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And I think also one of the things I would like to talk about, relationship at home. I think you asked me this question early on. In the relationship when she's in college. Elena attended Landmark College, which is college dedicated for neurodivergent students. And they have a lot of support, but they also want children to be independent. And Elena has been very much dependent on me to make decisions, to help with memory. So that was another challenge. I have to deal with that, like her waking up. She's hearing impaired. She doesn't hear alarm clocks. She missed classes. She doesn't do homework. And I found it Impact Parents help me not just when she's home, but also in the distance. Like, if don't call her, if she doesn't wake up, like just see what happens should happen. Because some of the time things I was doing has no impact. Because if she can't hear alarm clock, she will not hear the telephone ring. If she doesn't want to do homework, she will not do the homework, right? So for me, I was struggling so much in the beginning, but then through Impact Parents, I started to understand what is really effective with her. And even Elena noticed. She noticed that. She said this to me, Mom, I think you are really different. I can see how you're changing. And it was a big deal for me to hear that.
I bet. Well, what you just said is that she could kind of smell the patronizing. She could suspicious early on, like she could tell when you weren't being authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Or she was wanted to make sure it wasn't just a ruse to control in a different way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They're very smart and very perceptive.
That's
I mean,
right.
the brain works differently, but in certain areas, they're very perceptive.
Yeah.
Well, and what's coming up for me, Marina, is that part of this was you holding it less tightly, right? It's just sort of, you think
Yes,
about like how
exactly.
tightly you were holding everything for her when you first came to us. What are some of the things that you think really helped you to hold it less
Lightly.
lightly? Yeah.
I will tell you two things. One, from selfish perspective, because I feel relief. Because I felt before Elena went to college, I saw tremendous codependency. Because when she's upset, she depressed, friends doesn't, I get very sad and upset.
Yeah.
And I felt to have this separation, it doesn't affect me that much. Like she will call me, I'm upset about, of course I'm upset, but I just didn't feel like I'm totally fall apart. And that was sort of selfishly for me, like, oh my God, I feel good. Okay, she's have trouble with her friends. That's part of the life. That's student's life. But I'm okay. I can't do anything. It's out of my control. So that's from my perspective. And I start to see the benefits of that. But also for Elena perspective, I feel like she become less stressed. Because I feel like in the past when she'll call me, we have very close relationship, good or bad, but we are, and she can call me like 10 times a day. But she get very stressed and accept something bad happen. Many times conversation end up in sort of argument or disagreement. And it's become less and less because I'm sort of listening to her. And I say, okay, what do you think? Oh, I don't know. Okay, what do you think somebody else will decide? And it's become so much more pleasant conversation that I think she was become less stressful.
Yeah.
And it's all in the distance. And it's hard when you have a conversation or text messages when you don't see each other. And we don't do FaceTime.
So I think what I just heard you saying is that part of it was about as you learn to let go, and I like to say parenting is a daily exercise in letting go.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
As you practice learning how to let go in a way that worked for both you and your daughter,
Yeah, it's true.
it reduced your stress and it reduced her stress.
It's true. Yeah, and also she was in an environment where basically understood her neurodiversion, which is also good. Her teachers, everybody in Landmark, her advisor, and she made friends. And it was so beautiful to see her with her friends who totally got each other.
Yeah.
They just understand each other. And I felt like in the past when I pick up her from school, from high school, and all the kids go together and she's alone, and my heart will break and see that. And she didn't have a friend. And now she has friend and they're all neurodivergent and they're all different ways, but they accept each other and support each other. It's just amazing.
So do you have any favorite tools or techniques that you've learned in Impact that you use most of all?
I think, okay, it's hard to say favorite.
What's coming up?
I think one about the trigger that I had this right here by my computer, and I give it to Elena too. She has this in her backpack. And the whole idea when you start to go up in a trigger curve, you can't just go down. You have to go all the way. You have to go the whole thing. You can't just turn around. So that was really good to sort of learning. Another thing is the Oh, this is probably my favorite. Who is this agenda?
Mm.
And it's hard. It's really hard because when I said, okay, this is my agenda, but this my agenda because it's good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in some way it is. Like she gained a lot of weight and she wanted to order ice cream. And I said, no, Elaine, I don't think you should. So my agenda, not to order ice cream, her agenda order ice cream. And it's become conflict. But the point is, I have to figure out other ways to just push my agenda.
Yeah.
Well, I remember so distinctly, Marina, as you gave that example, a big part of this as parents is navigating our fears for our kids' future. And
Yes, it's
we
true.
can see a behavior today and we're like, oh, if this behavior is going on today, then it's sure that this is what's going to happen in the future.
Yes.
And being able to kind of break that and go, okay, yes, this is the behavior I'm seeing today. And do they want to change the behavior? Do they not want to change the behavior? Do I want them to change the behavior? What's my role in their behavior? And how do I help influence rather than control? Because when we get scared, like that's when the part of us that wants to say,
Yes.
no ice cream ever
Yeah.
shows up.
And it was difficult for me. But I know during the group session, we talk about where your children are. Are they dreaming? Are they planning? Or they take action? And it's very difficult for me to see, okay, if they're dreaming, just let them dream. I am action oriental. I want things to be done. But I think with time and more coaching, I figure out you really can move it. Like if they're dreaming, you just have to stay with them where they are. And I remember I was used the same phrase for my work. You can't take 9 pregnant women who's pregnant for 1 month. You're not going to have a baby to have 9 women. And same idea too. You can't just expedite that. They have to go through the process. And if you can help,
They're on their own pace. Their pace is not the same
Yes,
as somebody else's, or maybe not what we expected.
yeah, exactly. And that's another thing is it was really nice to feel, okay, she got to be happy the way she got to be happy. Like what Diane was just talking about, you're so worried, projected, what's going to happen. But now I say, okay, she got to be happy. I saw her happy with her friends, and she got to be happy whatever she got to find out. Instead of like be the therapist. She studied psychology, so be the famous therapist, or she just worked in someplace.
She's got a path and she's on her.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, and that's part of it is allowing and believing and accepting and, managing our emotions. I think that's where the group, we run groups, everybody, for parents of younger kids, teens, and then young adults. And Diane and I each lead groups for young adults. I think in part because we have young adults and we need it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you do have to let them be on their pace and do it on their time for it to be theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Theirs, so they can accept it.
Well, and it's hard because there's all these outside pressures and the voices in our heads going, yeah, but. And so that's one of the things I would just highlight, Marina, that you've done a beautiful job is figuring out how do I meet her where she is and help her to be at this pace and the stage she's at and support her there rather than being impatient about her being somewhere else.
And I think it's true, totally. And as a result, the positive result, I'm so much less stressed. I really am. Yeah.
I feel your energy, like from when I first met to now, there's just this, it's all going to be okay kind of thing, right?
Exactly. I just I don't have this gloom and doom feeling. Even when we have the hardest argument or some really bad things happen, I don't have this feeling of desperate. I really don't.
Do you have a sense of what shifted that for you? Because that's like the secret sauce, right? We talk about it a lot. I'm just curious.
I think I start to see more and more Elena as an individual human being and not my extension. I mean, it's horrible to say that. And, the notion I used to have, the good mother will sacrifice. My father used to say, parents sacrifice for love. Love is sacrifice. And that's how I used to sort of pat myself in the back. I sacrifice for my daughter. And everybody say, you sacrifice so much. But now I feel like, that's not the good parenting. Good parenting really let her be. Let her be and respect who she is. As hard as it is, because she can be very difficult. But then also I see she feel bad. That's one thing is she feel really bad. If she does something disrespectful, she said to me another day, she was really upset, crying. She said, Mom, I'm not a bad person. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did this, but I'm not a bad person. And I said, no, you're not. So to see her as individual human being, not attachment or appendix of me.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I sometimes I think our kids, they do such a good job of beating themselves up.
Yeah.
That what they need from us is to build them up.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and even if they don't say it out loud, you're fortunate that you could hear her beating herself up. A lot of times as parents, like we don't actually hear that, and so we make an assumption that they don't care or they're kind of checked out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else you feel like you want to share with the members of your community and to people who aren't in the community but who
the thing I do want to share about Landmark College, because I really didn't know it exists. So I never thought my daughter can go to college. She was not a good student. She did not like study. And then when things changed, my neighbor recommended me. First, we went to Beacon. There were two colleges, one in Florida. It didn't work out at Beacon, but Landmark, I just didn't know it exists. And that's the sad part. It's a very small college. They only have 400 students. And it's only neurodivergent. They have classes of 10 students in class. And it's very academic. They have quite complicated study, and she studies psychology. Another thing I really like, they study a lot about neurodiversion. So I help her with her homework. I have to say that. And I learned so much about how brain working. So she learned about herself. They all find it respect and figure out how to live in this neurodivergent world. So it's not just education and a college environment, but also learn for them about themselves. So I wish people knew more about that, because I think a lot of time people send kids, as this happened to my neighbor, send the kids different colleges which has program for neurodiversion, but it didn't work. A lot of students come to Landmark because they struggle, go through this individual program in colleges. So that's I want communities to know. And also another thing I just want to say, that no matter how old you are, I'm retired, it's never too late to learn. And I think the coaching approach, it's very much learning approach. And I found it's really, you feel like you're growing, you feel you learn stuff. You don't feel any guilty. You don't feel like, oh my God, I was so wrong for so many years. And the last thing I want to mention, that as much as my daughter have difficult time, but I felt because of her neurodiversion, I met so many wonderful people. The parents, I feel like my life is richer because of that. Some people say, oh, poor you suffer so much. But I felt like I met so many wonderful people. I saw so many success or failure and how people deal with that. And I feel my life is richer because of that. And I think the impact parents give this community. So that's another thing I find it very grateful. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you for that. I share that feeling with you. I can't even imagine what life would have been like had I not met my kids where they were. And I was on the course to do it very differently. So I really share that feeling with you. It's definitely made my life bigger and better and more interesting. And I think, our kids are our greatest teachers when we're willing to pay attention and learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, folks, anything else, Diane? Anything you want to wrap with before we close?
No, Marina, I just want to thank you for joining us today. And thank you for, the work you've been doing. You've just been so, head first making this happen for yourself and for your daughter. And it's been wonderful to be able to celebrate the accomplishments that you've made in this conversation today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yeah,
all of us.
and I want to echo that because Diane's had a chance to work with you privately. I've seen you. I've been with you in groups, and I can see the shift in the work you've done for yourself and your daughter because I don't know you as well, and really just want to acknowledge that there's this kind of like an energy shift that I
That's true.
and what a great gift for you and for your daughter. And it would not have happened if you hadn't stepped in and done the work.
Yeah. And you know what? I see the same thing in some other parents who has been in a group for a long time, and I can see the response. And then I see the new parents come in, and the eyes open up, and then they got something, and it's just so interesting, which is basically say knowledge, education, and learning the solution.
And a little bit of time.
Time, yeah.
It does take a little bit of time.
Exactly. So I'm really grateful, very, very grateful, both of you, to start this program.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, thank you for sharing your story with the community.
You're welcome.
And for the work that you've done for yourself and your daughter. To those of you listening, take a moment. What are you taking away from this conversation? What's the insight or the aha, the awareness for you this week? What are you taking from this, and how do you want to apply it to your life this week?
And as always, thank you for what you do for yourself and for your kids. At the end of the day, you really do make a difference.
Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to the Parenting with Impact podcast with Elaine and Diane. For more information on the Impact Parents community or to join Sanity School for Parents, please visit impactparents.com. If you like what you've heard, please share this podcast with friends who need similar guidance and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.